Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when we find ourselves exhausted, running on empty, trying to control every outcome, every decision, every moment. We fight battles that were never ours to fight. We carry burdens that were never meant to be ours. And in the quiet moments, when the world is still and our thoughts are loud, we realize something. No matter how hard we try, we are not in control. We plan, we push, we strategize, but life has a way of reminding us that there is a greater force at work. The doors we kick down never seem to lead where we thought they would. The paths we force ourselves onto feel heavy, as if we're dragging something behind us. And in our deepest frustration and our most vulnerable moments, we hear a whisper, "Let go." Surrender is not giving up, it is waking up. It is recognizing that you were never meant to do this alone. It is stepping back and allowing something greater than yourself to lead. It is choosing trust over fear, peace over anxiety, and faith over control. Imagine the freedom that comes when you release the weight of worry. Imagine the strength that comes not from forcing outcomes, but from believing that what is meant for you will find you. Imagine waking up every morning not with stress gripping your chest, but with a deep knowing that you are guided, protected, and exactly where you are meant to be. This is not about standing still. It is about standing in faith. It is about moving forward, but with open hands instead of clenched fists. It is about working hard, but resting in the knowledge that you are not the author of the plan, only a vessel for it. Surrender is not weakness. It is the bravest thing you will ever do. It is stepping into the unknown with a heart full of trust. It is letting go of the need to control every twist and turn and instead choosing to walk with purpose, knowing that no matter what happens, you are being led towards something greater than you could ever imagine. So today I challenge you, release the fear, the doubt, the endless striving. Stop gripping so tightly to what you think life should be and open yourself to what it is meant to be. Breathe deeply, stand tall, walk forward, not with worry, but with the unshakable confidence that when you surrender, you don't lose, you finally win. We live in a world that glorifies control. We are taught to plan, to prepare, to predict every possible outcome. We hold on to life so tightly, believing that if we just work harder, strategize better, or stay one step ahead, we can shape everything to our will. But deep down, we know the truth. Control is an illusion. No matter how much we plan, life happens in ways we never expected. The things we fear still find their way to us, and the things we desperately chase sometimes slip right through our fingers. And in those moments, when our carefully built plans fall apart, we are faced with a choice: fight harder or finally let go. Surrender is not about giving up, it is about waking up. Waking up to the reality that we were never meant to carry everything alone. Waking up to the truth that some of the most beautiful moments in life come when we release our grip and trust the unfolding. There is freedom in not having to control everything. There is peace in knowing that you don't have to force your way through every situation. Life is not a problem to be solved. It is a path to be walked with faith. We often think that if we surrender, we will lose something, our power, our direction, our sense of self. But in reality, surrendering is the only way to truly find ourselves. When we let go of the weight of control, we make room for something greater. We stop striving and start living. We stop chasing and start receiving. We stop surviving and start trusting. The hardest part of surrender is the in-between, the space between releasing control and seeing the outcome. It's in that space where fear tries to creep in, whispering, "What if this doesn't work out? But what if it does? What if what's waiting for you on the other side of surrender is far greater than anything you could have controlled? What if letting go is the key to unlocking the life you've always wanted?" It takes courage to step back, to trust, to believe that you are being guided even when you don't see the full picture. But that is where true strength lies, not in forcing, but in flowing, not in grasping, but in allowing, not in controlling, but in trusting. So take a breath, release the weight. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to control every detail. You are being led even now. And when you finally let go, you will realize that surrender was never about losing. It was always about gaining the life you were meant to live. We've been taught that strength looks like control, like holding everything together, never wavering, always knowing the next step. We admire those who seem unshakable, those who power through life without hesitation. But what if real strength isn't about control at all? What if the bravest thing we can do is loosen our grip and trust that we are being led exactly where we need to be? Surrender is often misunderstood. We hear the word and think of weakness, of giving up, of losing. But surrender is not about quitting. It's about releasing the belief that we are the sole architects of our lives. It's about understanding that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Strength is not in forcing, pushing, or exhausting ourselves, trying to make life bend to our will. Strength is in trusting. Strength is in stepping back and saying, I don't have to do this alone. There is incredible power in realizing that we were never meant to be in control of everything. It takes courage to admit that we don't have all the answers. It takes vulnerability to say, I don't know what comes next, but I trust that I will be okay. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the foundation of true strength. It is the willingness to step into uncertainty with an open heart, to walk forward without needing to see the whole path, to believe in something greater than our own plans. When we surrender, we don't lose ourselves, we find ourselves. We find a version of ourselves that is no longer burdened by fear. We find a strength that does not come from controlling, but from releasing. We find a peace that does not rely on perfect circumstances, but on an unwavering trust that we are exactly where we are meant to be. The world will tell you to grip tighter, to fight harder, to never let go. But what if the freedom you're searching for isn't in holding on, but in finally letting go? What if the peace you crave isn't in having all the answers, but in trusting the journey? What if the strongest thing you can do is to surrender and believe that life is unfolding exactly as it should? True strength is not about never falling. It's about knowing that when you do, you are held. It's about stepping into the unknown, not with fear, but with faith. It's about understanding that you are already enough, already worthy, already loved, even when you don't have control. And when you finally surrender, you will discover a strength you never knew existed. The strength of knowing that you are never walking this path alone. Fear has a way of creeping into the deepest corners of our hearts, whispering worst-case scenarios, convincing us that we have to stay in control or everything will fall apart. It tells us that if we don't hold on tight enough, plan carefully enough, or anticipate every outcome, life will slip through our fingers. And so we grip harder. We overthink. We live in a state of constant tension, afraid of what might happen if we loosen our hold. But what if true peace isn't found in control? What if it's found in trust? Trust is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to not let fear lead. It is choosing to believe in something greater than what we can see. It is standing at the edge of uncertainty and taking a step forward even when we don't know where the road leads. Fear tells us to stay where it's safe, to cling to what is familiar, to avoid risk at all costs. But trust invites us to step into something bigger, something deeper, something more meaningful than we could ever create on our own. There will be moments when life doesn't go the way we planned, when doors close, when paths we thought were certain suddenly disappear beneath our feet. In those moments, fear will try to take over, whispering that we are alone, that we are lost, that things will never be okay. But surrendering to trust means believing that even when things don't make sense, there is a plan unfolding. It means understanding that sometimes the no's we receive are actually making space for something greater. It means knowing that we are being guided even when we don't yet see the way. Trust does not mean we stop moving forward. It does not mean we sit back and do nothing. It means we release the pressure to have all the answers and instead take each step in faith. It means we stop wrestling with worry and start walking in peace. It means we show up, do our best, and then let go of the outcome, knowing that what is meant for us will never miss us. Fear will always be loud, always persuasive, always convincing us that we are not safe unless we are in control. But fear is a liar. The truth is, we are safest when we trust. We are strongest when we surrender. We are most free when we stop trying to manipulate every detail of our lives and instead allow life to unfold with grace. So today, take a breath. Choose trust over fear. Choose peace over control. Choose faith over worry. Let go of the need to have it all figured out. You are already being led, already being held, already exactly where you are meant to be. And when you finally stop letting fear dictate your life, you will realize that you were never lost. You were just learning how to trust. There is a kind of exhaustion that goes beyond the body. It lives in the soul. The exhaustion of carrying everything alone, of holding on too tightly, of trying to control things that were never ours to control. It's the weight of constant worry, the pressure of needing to have all the answers, the fear of what happens if we let go. But what if the peace we are searching for isn't found in doing more, but in surrendering? What if freedom isn't about gaining control, but about finally releasing it? Surrender is not weakness, it is relief. It is the deep breath after years of holding everything in. It is the moment you realize that you don't have to fix everything, carry everything, be everything. It is the understanding that you are not the master of the universe and you were never meant to be. Life was never about gripping so tightly that your hands ache. It was about learning to trust, to breathe, to allow yourself to be led instead of forcing your way through. Freedom doesn't come from knowing how everything will turn out. It comes from believing that whatever happens, you will be okay. It comes from understanding that you are not alone in this journey, that there is a greater hand guiding you, even in the moments when you feel lost. It comes from stepping back and realizing that you don't have to fight every battle. You just have to trust the path. So much of our suffering comes from resistance, from clinging to outcomes that were never meant for us, from holding on to control as if it could save us. But control is a myth, and the tighter we hold on to it, the more we suffer. True freedom begins when we release our grip and open our hands. It is in that space, when we surrender, that we finally experience the lightness, the ease, the deep and unshakable peace that we have been searching for all along. Imagine living with the belief that you are exactly where you need to be. Imagine moving through life without the weight of worry, without the constant anxiety of what comes next. Imagine waking up every morning not with dread, but with the confidence that you are being led, protected, and held. That is the gift of surrender. That is the peace that comes when you stop trying to control the waves and instead learn how to ride them. So let go, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to trust. Release the fear, the doubt, the constant need to manage everything. Step into the freedom that comes when you finally understand you were never meant to carry it all alone. The moment you surrender is the moment you truly begin to live. We spend so much of our lives pushing, forcing doors open, chasing things that aren't meant for us, gripping tightly to a version of life we think we need. We believe that if we try hard enough, plan well enough, and control every detail, we can make things happen on our timeline. But have you ever noticed that the more you force something, the heavier it feels? That no matter how hard you push, some doors remain locked. Maybe it's not because you're failing. Maybe it's because you're fighting for something that was never meant to be yours. There is a deep wisdom in surrender. It is the understanding that the right doors will open when the time is right, and the wrong ones will close no matter how much we want them to stay open. We don't always see it in the moment. When we lose an opportunity, when a relationship ends, when a dream doesn't unfold the way we imagined, it's easy to feel abandoned, to wonder why things aren't working out. But what if the closed door was never rejection, it was protection? What if what feels like an ending is actually an invitation to something better? Surrender doesn't mean we stop working hard or having goals. It means we stop striving in fear. It means we stop tying our worth to things outside of our control. It means we release our need to manipulate outcomes and instead step into a life of trust. The doors that are meant for you will never require you to force them open. They will swing wide at the right time. The relationships meant for you will not require you to beg to be chosen. The opportunities meant for you will align in ways you never could have orchestrated on your own. We waste so much energy running after things that are not meant for us, exhausting ourselves in the process. But the most beautiful moments in life come when we finally step back and say, I trust that what is for me will find me. And when we do, something incredible happens. We make space for what actually belongs to us. Imagine the peace of knowing you don't have to force anything. Imagine the freedom of trusting that life is unfolding in your favor, even when you don't understand the timing. Imagine the relief of no longer fighting for things that were never yours to begin with. Doors that are meant to open will open. Paths that are meant to be walked will reveal themselves. What is meant for you will never require you to exhaust yourself trying to keep it. Let go of what isn't yours, stop forcing what isn't working, and step into the beautiful unfolding of a life that was designed just for you. Surrender is not about standing still. It's about standing in faith. It is not a passive act of giving up, but an active choice to trust, to move forward without needing to control every detail. Too often we believe that surrender means doing nothing, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Surrender means showing up, doing the work, and then releasing the outcome. It means understanding that while effort is in our hands, the results are not. We have been conditioned to believe that we are responsible for making everything happen. That if we don't push, if we don't grind, if we don't hustle until we break, nothing will come together. But have you ever noticed that the things you force never feel right? That the opportunities you chase with desperation rarely last? That when you try to manipulate outcomes, you end up exhausted, anxious, and still uncertain? That's because life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be trusted. Surrender does not mean sitting back and hoping things fall into place. It means stepping into each day with purpose while letting go of the pressure to control how it all turns out. It means making decisions from a place of peace, not panic. It means working hard, but not tying your worth to the results. It means planting the seeds, but understanding that you are not the one who makes them grow. There is a delicate balance between action and trust. When you surrender, you still move forward, you just move differently. You make decisions with clarity instead of fear. You take risks without needing to control the outcome. You pursue your dreams without the anxiety of whether or not they will work out exactly as you planned. You stop seeing failure as a sign that you're not good enough and start seeing it as redirection towards something better. Imagine the freedom of doing your best and knowing that it is enough. Imagine working toward your dreams without the weight of fear and uncertainty crushing you. Imagine showing up every day, giving your all, and then stepping back with complete trust that what is meant for you will come. That is what surrender looks like. Not weakness, but strength. Not inaction, but faith-filled action. Not control, but confidence in the unfolding of something greater than you could ever orchestrate on your own. So keep moving, keep showing up, keep giving your best, but release the need to force, to manipulate, to control. Do the work, take the steps, and then trust, because the moment you surrender is the moment life starts moving in ways you never expected, ways that are better, greater, and more beautiful than anything you could have planned. Some of the hardest moments in life are the ones we don't understand, the setbacks, the heartbreaks, the unanswered prayers. The times when we did everything right, yet nothing went as planned. When the job we wanted didn't come through, when the relationship we thought would last ended, when the path we were so sure about suddenly disappeared beneath our feet. In those moments, it's easy to feel forgotten, to question why things aren't working out, to wonder if surrendering is even worth it. But what if the very thing that feels like a setback is actually a setup for something greater? Hardships are not proof that we have been abandoned. They are invitations to trust, to grow, to become. They are the spaces in between where faith is tested, but also where faith is built. It is easy to trust when things are going well, but real trust, the kind that carries you through life, is forged in the moments when nothing makes sense, when the plan is unclear, when all you have left is the choice to believe that there is purpose in the pain. Surrendering doesn't mean we pretend everything is okay when it's not. It doesn't mean we suppress our grief, ignore our struggles, or put on a brave face when we're breaking inside. It means we acknowledge the pain, but we don't let it define us. It means we allow ourselves to feel the disappointment, but refuse to believe that it's the end of the story. It means we trust that even in the mess, even in the loss, even in the moments that shake us to our core, there is something greater being written. Growth is never comfortable. Transformation rarely happens in the easy seasons. The strongest people are not the ones who have never faced hardship. They are the ones who have walked through the fire and come out refined. They are the ones who surrendered not because they gave up, but because they believed in something bigger than their circumstances. They are the ones who, despite the struggle, kept going, not in their own strength, but in trust. When we stop seeing hardships as roadblocks and start seeing them as part of a bigger plan, everything changes. The pain still exists, but it no longer controls us. The uncertainty still lingers, but it no longer paralyzes us. We stop fighting against life and start flowing with it, knowing that even in the moments of waiting, even in the seasons of loss, we are being shaped, prepared, and positioned for something beyond what we can see. So when life doesn't go as planned, don't let fear take over. Don't let doubt convince you that you are lost. Surrender, not because it's easy, but because it's the path to true peace. Trust that even in the middle of the storm, something beautiful is unfolding. One day you will look back and realize that what felt like a detour was actually leading you exactly where you were meant to be. We spend so much of our lives carrying things that were never meant for us. Worry, doubt, the weight of expectations, the fear of failure. We hold on to pain from the past, anxiety about the future, and the pressure to have it all figured out. We think that if we just try a little harder, plan a little better, or work a little longer, we can keep everything under control. But control is an illusion, and the more we cling to it, the heavier life becomes. There is a moment, a quiet, powerful moment, when you realize that you don't have to carry it all anymore, that the weight you've been holding on to is not yours to bear, that you were never meant to figure everything out on your own, that real peace doesn't come from having all the answers, but from trusting that you don't need to. Letting go is not giving up, it is not failing. It is the bravest thing you will ever do. It is the moment you surrender the need to control every detail and instead step into the freedom of trust. The beauty of surrender is that it doesn't take away your strength. It reveals it. It allows you to move through life without the constant pressure to force things into place. It invites you to wake up each day knowing that whatever happens, you are exactly where you need to be. It gives you the space to breathe, to live, to experience life without fear dictating your every step. Imagine the lightness of walking through life without constantly worrying about what's next. Imagine the freedom of releasing the need to prove yourself, to make everything happen on your own, to hold everything together. Imagine what it would feel like to trust that you are already enough, already worthy, already held, even when life feels uncertain. That is what surrender offers. Not a life without challenges, but a life without unnecessary weight. The world will tell you that success comes from control, from never letting go, from always knowing the next move. But true strength is found in surrender. True peace is found in releasing the things that were never meant for you to carry. True freedom is found in trusting that life is unfolding in ways greater than you could have ever planned. So take a breath, let go of what is weighing you down, release the fears, the expectations, the endless need to control. Trust that you are being led, that you are being held, that you are exactly where you are meant to be. And when you finally surrender, you will realize that you were never carrying it alone to begin with. There is a quiet kind of strength in surrender, the kind that doesn't scream for attention, but whispers peace into the chaos. It is not about giving up. It is about giving in to something greater than yourself. It is a choice to live with open hands instead of clenched fists, to release the need for certainty, to trust in the unseen, even when the road ahead feels unclear. We are taught to hold on to our plans, to our expectations, to the idea that we must always be in control. But life has a way of reminding us that control is fleeting. Things shift, plans change. What once felt certain can disappear in an instant. And in those moments, we have a choice. We can resist, fight, and exhaust ourselves trying to make life fit into our plans, or we can surrender and trust that even in the uncertainty, we are exactly where we are meant to be. Surrender does not take away the storms, but it changes how we face them. It allows us to stand in the middle of uncertainty without fear consuming us. It gives us the ability to release what is beyond our control and focus on what is within our reach, our attitude, our faith, our willingness to keep moving forward. It reminds us that peace is not found in having all the answers, but in trusting that we don't need to. Think about the moments in your life that have shaped you the most, the ones that brought unexpected blessings, deepened your strength, or led you to something greater than you had planned. Chances are those moments did not come from control, but from surrender, from trusting when it didn't make sense, from letting go when everything in you wanted to hold on, from believing that even in the unknown, you were being guided. Imagine what it would feel like to live without the weight of worry, to wake up every morning knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out, to move through life with confidence, not because you control the outcome, but because you trust the journey. That is the gift of surrender, the ability to release what is not meant for you, embrace what is, and walk forward with faith instead of fear. So let go, not because life will be perfect, but because you don't have to carry it alone. Release the need to control every detail, every outcome, every fear of what's ahead. Trust that even in the unknown, even in the waiting, even in the moments that feel impossible, you are being led to something beautiful. The moment you surrender is the moment you step into true freedom, the kind that carries you, sustains you, and reminds you that you were never meant to do this alone. There comes a moment in life when you realize that holding on is not strength, it is exhaustion. That control is not power, it is fear dressed up as certainty. That the weight you have been carrying, the worries that have consumed your mind, the plans you have clung to so tightly were never meant to be yours alone. And in that moment, surrender is no longer a last resort. It becomes the most powerful choice you will ever make. Surrender is not about abandoning responsibility or sitting idly by waiting for life to happen to you. It is about moving with faith instead of fear. It is about showing up, doing the work, and then releasing the need to dictate how it all unfolds. It is about recognizing that no amount of anxiety, stress, or overthinking will change what is already meant for you. It is about understanding that your worth is not tied to your ability to control life. It is found in your ability to trust it. There is a deep peace that comes when you stop striving to force what is not meant to be and instead open yourself to what is. There is freedom in realizing that you are not responsible for carrying the weight of the world. There is relief in knowing that no matter how uncertain things may seem, you are never alone in the journey. The very things you are afraid to let go of might be the very things keeping you from receiving something greater. Life has never been about perfection, about making every right move, about always knowing what comes next. It has always been about faith, about learning, about walking forward with courage even when the path is unclear. It is about trusting that every closed door is redirection, every unanswered prayer is protection, every setback is a setup for something better. It is about believing that even in the waiting, even in the struggle, even in the moments that feel impossible, there is a plan greater than your own unfolding before you. So take a deep breath, let go of what is weighing you down, release the need to have all the answers. Step into the peace that comes when you finally surrender, not because you are giving up, but because you are choosing to trust. Because life was never meant to be something you carry alone, because the moment you let go is the moment you truly begin to live.